Well, I can't really tell time that well over the pandemic, but we've been talking about it for a while, so I'm glad you're finally here and we can all chat about it. But I love
Yes,
hearing your stories.
yes, I'm very interested in hearing the progress of how the Durham Rink is, and also share some information as well.
Great. We've got some good news once everybody signs in.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for coming out tonight, this lovely evening, spending some time with us to talk about this project. We're really excited about it. We're really glad that everybody else is excited about it too. So, and we really appreciate your feedback and your insights about this facility specifically.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you. I have some more people who said we can't get in and they're here.
Oh,
That's
I
fine.
thought you meant on there and I was like, oh yeah.
And there's also another friend of mine who's like trying to join virtually too. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
That's
I just
okay.
want them to not be able to.
Yeah, let me see here.
There's Meg that's trying, yeah.
It looks like she is on.
Oh, is she?
So, oops. If she can't hear us, she might try leaving and rejoining.
Okay.
It's like those are, we just have the two participants. Oh. Yeah. Just two right now.
Okay.
Okay, so, well, we've got a few people joining us. I thought, it'd be a good opportunity for us to just give some introductions really quickly, since it's kind of a small group. I'm happy to start. My name is Mary Unterreiner. I work for Durham Parks and Recreation. I'm the manager of the Culture and Communities, which encompasses our communications team, marketing, community engagement, and our staff engagement, as well as Latino outreach. So I'm really happy to be here with you guys today. If you want, while we go around, if you want to share like a fun memory of Wheels or just why you're specifically interested in the facility, feel free. Otherwise, we can move right along. I'm not from Durham originally. I just moved here in February. So it's been cool to see the interest surrounding this skating facility. I grew up with one as well. So I really understand like how central it is to like growing up. For me specifically, that was my experience. So I'm excited to kind of, be part of the conversation that brings this back online for people here. Would you like to?
Oh, sure. My name is Emily Beth. I'm born and raised in Durham, went to Wheels as a small child, then into college as well. I went to Duke, so we did our all sorts of fun fraternity events there. And then I recently got back into roller skating, so it would be really fantastic to have something happening.
Yeah.
I'm Kate Powers. I'm from Long Island originally, but I moved to North Carolina 10 years ago. Specifically Durham 4 years ago, and I started skating in 2019. And luckily was just like living around the corner from Wheels. So I was spending pretty much every single day that I had, 4 hours a day, 5 hours a day, just learning how to roller skate. And then it gone. So then I was figuring out how to find spots outside of that, but it would be lovely to be able to skate indoors with a community, not just alone, because that's what's been a bummer. Is that skating is like super social and yeah, I mean, pandemic made it a solo thing, but it's okay too. But it would be lovely to just like make sure that it's staying in the community. Roller skating is a Black culture thing, so I'm gonna make sure that I can. Keep it going.
I'm Erica.
Nice to see you.
I'm Melanie. I live in Scarborough. I skated with Full City Roller Derby for a little bit and then take my kids skating.
Can we backtrack? Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is John Carter. Lived in Durham for pretty much the entire 6 years. I've moved here from California about 6 years ago. Lived in Durham for a majority of that and did a lot of skating at Wheels. And there's a lot of potential for community outreach, for youth activity, for social activity, other than that, to use that space for doing a multiple to things of community activities. There's endless things that the space can be used for other than skating, but it's just an essential part of keeping kids off the street and giving them something to do to make them feel needed and important. And it's a shame that's not happening right now.
I think that's me. Jack's here. Lived in the area for a good while. Been in Durham for almost 6 years now, and just skated through a friend and stuff. And yeah, I'm just here to understand and to see how it's going.
Caroline Martin, Shaker. Yeah, I used to go to roll, back when I lived here, back in 10 years ago or so, when I did like disco sweat. When that was happening, that was just great. It like inspired me to like do more skating, and I joined the Denver roller derby team when I moved out there. Just moved back a couple months ago and was so psyched to go to Wheels again, and then was so sad when Wheels is not happening anymore. So hoping to help to get it back.
My name is Marcia Peterson. I've also lived in the area for a while, back. I also teach skate lessons, and in the wintertime, I see a lot of people who just stop skating completely because there is no other place in the area. Everybody's probably seen a lot of the rinks closing down, like Jelly Beans and things like that, but like outside of the United States, there's really no place they can go to if it's raining. I heard y'all talk about finding different locations outside and things like that. So I'm also here to see how I can help and get a place that people have access to, a lot of the time.
My name is Corey King. I lived in Durham a little over 2 years, originally from Lumberton, where I grew up skating at a local rink there. And I recently got back into skating over like the past couple of years. And again, other than driving the United Skates, it's hard to find somewhere inside the skate other than the pavilion, which is, I heard somebody saying, it's awfully rocky. I fell there last week after sweeping it, and I hurt my leg really bad. But I've recently started booking events in Chapel Hill at a bar called the Baxter. And I just held a roller skating party.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for using that. That was so fun.
Yeah, it just so happened to be during a storm, sadly, so only a handful, a good amount of people still came, but I know a lot of people couldn't make it due to the storm. Yeah, I'm just, hopefully I can see, hopefully, I can see Will's come back or see what I can do.
I'm Kelsey Monk, my pronouns are she and her. I'm a second generation Wheels customer. My aunt actually used to work at Wheels. It's maybe the first employee that Becky put like on the floor to like skate and marshal around. And I want to be able to skate. I don't want to have to drive 45 minutes to Raleigh to be able to skate.
Lois Johnson. And I'm here because a daughter and 2 young sons had their birthday parties at the stadium. And I wanted that. For my great-great-grandchildren.
Hi, my name is James Taylor, and I am a Durhamite. I used to stay right there on Roxbury Street. I know this block, all this area, because I grew up in this area. I also grew up when Wheels first started, so I know Durham. But I also know our city and our city officials. And we do have to work hard. Why? I don't know. But it's gonna take you all to help push and let them know that we're not giving up. We want Wheels open, and we want to open again. Wheels is a generational thing for so many of us. And not only that, I'm the co-facilitator of Partner Against Crime. That means we got to find things to stop crime. And Wheels can be a part of it. Okay? Because, like I told him at the last meeting for Splash, I can't roller skate no more. But I see all that necessary need for children. And if we don't work to put it all back for children, we're not doing anything to help the next generation. I'm out here to help the next generation because I know what children need. Not us old, ticky-tiny, grown folks, okay? We will not make the right decision for children when they find a place that they need to play and they can't go. So all that out there, it needs to stay. Because it's not for you all, but it's for the children. And if you have children, you will have somewhere to take them and try your best to keep it safe for them. But I know the city, and I'm here to let you know, I'm not giving up on that place. And I hope you don't, because there are so many questions that need to be answered, but they ain't answered now. But I've been asking questions, and I have not gotten the answer. But I'm not gonna stop, because wheels should have been opened a long time ago. Okay? So I just didn't start working on this just now. Some of us started working on it the day we found out that the city of Durham purchased that place and how they purchased it. That's something you also need to understand. How they purchased it, why they purchased it, and why is it taking so long for it to get opened? Because if you don't stay on the city of Durham, they are looking for 2007. Tell you that right now. And I'm gonna tell you why I'm saying it. That's when they're looking for that swimming pool to open up. So they're gonna try to keep us held back and keep us coming to meetings after meetings. But if we come with a direct focus and making sure that Park and Recreation give us the answer we are needed to make sure wheels get open. So I'm hoping you come with direct answers to make sure that you know why you're coming. They hear us, but they need to see us more. Thank you.
My name is Rosa. I can piggyback on some of what he said. And of what all of us said, I'm much older than any of you in here. But I raised a child who lived to go to skate. It was not here in Durham, but skating is skating wherever it is. And it keeps them out of a lot of trouble. It keeps them a lot of crime if you can get these children involved in things. And roller skating is something he did from like this right on up till he got grown. And in my opinion, it's important that you open it.
I don't know if I can follow behind them, but I've been worrying, Thomas to death too for a while. I knew Becky personally, and so as soon as I found out she was selling it and same as you, I was like, okay, who do I need to contact? I'm also a Durhamite and I'm an old skater, so old people do like to skate too. I skated at Will's starting in middle school when they first opened, and Will's used to be over on Infinity. And I remember they had an orange concrete floor and you did not want to fall on that floor. And then I was away from it for probably over 20 years. Going through divorce, I went to a derby bout and I was like, wait a minute, I can do that. So that's how I got through that part of my life was skating. And literally I would go, like you said, I go for 4 hours, like 2 or 3 times a week. That started in 2009 and I did that every week up until when COVID hit. So I'm very passionate about the rink opening up too. I've been concerned about like what's happening to the quality of the floor right now. I was asking Thomas about, is it climate control? What are you all doing? I have speed skates for derby, and I also have some artistic skates. I met my partner there, so we've been dating 11 years at Will, so a lot of fond memories, and I hope it gets to open soon.
Yeah. Well, that segues to me. I'm Tom Dawson. My daughter's 4th birthday was at Wheels. But more importantly, my daughter and her best friend both got her COVID shots at Wheels, where 75,000 Durham residents came to Wheels during the pandemic to get the shot. So this provided a space that didn't feel so institutional like Duke Hospital. The parking was better, and that's exactly what we did. But let me give you a quick timeline, and then we can start to answer some of these questions.
Yeah, we just have like a couple on the screen to,
I am so sorry.
that's okay.
I can pause.
People. on the-
Eddie should definitely talk.
Yeah, for the folks on the virtual meeting, would you mind introducing yourselves?
Yes, I'm Eddie Watson. Like I said, me and Tom has been talking. I am originally from out of Raleigh, but I'm been roller skating for the last 26 years. One of the rinks that I first started out was the Wheels rink when it was on Roxborough Road. So yeah, I've been rolling for a very long time. And when it came from Wheels to the location now, and of course Raleigh, and I also travel as well as a roller skater. Um, I'm also an instructor. I'm a roller skate instructor for doing dance and basic fundamental skating for skate fitness. I do have basically a nonprofit 501c, the Raleigh Durham Skaters Association. It's for the community, for education and fitness through roller skating. So I wanted to put a lot of emphasis on fitness because a lot of people don't understand how that works. Even though roller skating is fun, it also is a healthy recreation and sport to get involved in. I am 56, and I have to say don't feel bad at all. In fact, I feel excellent. And I have to say, between skating, of course, exercising, and and eating right, that was the one few of the things I like to share with the community as well. As having a good time, enjoying the music, your company, your group, and so forth. So, matter of fact, currently, I am working with the Raleigh Parks and Recreation. Um, I'm doing a class for the adults right now, even though they do have set up for open skate for the youth. The focus is for the adults, especially I would say 30 to on up. It's just getting into it, or was at one time that they want to come back. And when they come back, the ones that's currently in the class, yes, I do a lot of stretching and so forth. So uh, they notice that they're out of shape, and not just to roll around in the circle. So I put emphasis on that as well. So also work with the WD Hill Center um, with the having the fitness program as well. So I'm pretty much with the community, trying to get the word out and hopefully to where Wheels can stay in the community. There's a lot of things that evolved with the pandemic that I wish didn't happen, and that's losing possible one of the rinks that's near me in Cary, the Jelly Bean rink. The only rink that's in the facility that, other than Charlotte and a couple of, I guess, surrounding city rinks, is the Raleigh rink. So, then of course you got Charlotte and Greensboro and some other rinks, but that's in the other towns. But I would like to have Wheels um, be open and utilize that. The community needs it. The skater wants it. So it can be utilized in different types of programs, health and fitness, the youth, learning how to use fitness, also developing programs for the youth, as well as the adults as well. So our nonprofit is dedicated to develop programs for the youth so to keep their interest, keep their involvement, to keep them, of course, out of trouble and keep certain things to bother them to come to the rink and be involved with the parks and recs more and take it more serious. You know, um, I, even though I don't have kids, I'm around kids a lot, and I know a lot of kids don't take certain things too serious. And I think that needs to kind of be implemented and with this with the rink staying open. So I hope I can help and the association can help get the have the wheels come back strong, get some programs in there for the community and also for the state as well. So I'm speaking on the behalf of myself, the CEO and the president of the Raleigh Durham Association, and also from the Raleigh residents as well.
You, Eddie. Jessica? Would you
Hey
like to
y'all,
introduce yourself?
my name's Jessica Hulick. My pronouns are she and her. I've been skating at Wheels since 2008 when I moved to Durham. I also skated with the Carolina Roller Derby. And so, I've been a skater at Wheels for years and years until it closed. And then I have two kids, they're 8 and 10. And currently they're skating with the roller derby, the junior roller derby in Raleigh. And so I do drive, I live in Northern Durham, so I do drive the 45 minutes every Sunday to practice for my kids. And they are very dedicated to skating. And there are hundreds of kids that are really dedicated to skating and want to skate more. And so there are lots and lots of people that want another place to skate. There are lots of I also happen to be the president of our junior roller derby league. So I can say that, there are lots of folks that are very invested in getting wheels back open and want more opportunities to skate. We get lots and lots of emails from folks saying, hey, when is wheels opening up? Where can we skate? Why is the only place in Raleigh there? And so we are all really invested in having this place open back up as soon as possible. So whatever we need to do to get that to happen, we are going to do.
Great. Megan? And we have Karthik on as well. If you want to say hi, Karthik.
Hi guys, I'm sorry, I'm still at work. But a
That's
quick intro. I am from Durham, grew up in Durham, grew up with Wheels, celebrating birthdays, all of that good stuff. And recently learning how to quad skate again as an adult. And so when Wheels was still open, I would visit there almost every day, just pouring into my new skill, before and after COVID. And now it's kind of been an adjustment, with me having to go out to Raleigh and as well as the kids that come out there and fellow skaters. We're all kind of trying to figure out the best route to go, a good place to go to. It kind of sucks that we don't have our home rink, but hopefully after this meeting, we'll get more answers as to what will be going on with the rink, if it will be open again, anything like that, because we do have so many people around here that love the rink and that are looking for somewhere safe to skate. We skate outdoors, we'll find places, tennis courts, basketball courts, things like that. And it is good. We appreciate that. However, we would love to have a good, safe indoor spot to return back to.
Thank you. Of
Thank you for allowing me to speak.
course. And Karthik, your last one.
Hi, I'm Karthik Sundaramurthy. I'm with the Recreation Advisory Commission, and I'm just here to listen to all your views. And thanks.
Thank you guys for the introductions.
Yeah, good, Michael, say a few things about, wheels, why it matters, we've heard a lot about, but how does it relate to pools? What's this thing about pools that we've heard? Well, in the past, we produced exhaustive studies looking at aquatics recreation, and that's also provides, incredible recreation, for children. We knew that East Durham had a particular lack of aquatics recreation. And, if kids don't swim, sometimes they die if they're in a terrible situation. So I think one of the highest and best uses of what departments like ours can do is provide that aquatic recreation. I know that's not why y'all are here, but just look at the big picture for a second. So part of the mandate from City Council was to develop a plan for aquatics recreation in Durham. And to that end, they put down a lot of money onto our long-term budget plan. And remember, budget, that what the City Council puts into budget is what they prioritize, and they prioritize aquatics in Durham. Now, that's good, but how does that relate to wheels? Well, the market in Durham for finding property is freaking right? So it's really tough to find a location for any pools of the size that was recommended for a city of our size to improve aquatics in East Durham. But there's a mandate to folks like me and folks like the real estate office to look for a space like that. But we also have some subplots going on too. And one, if this is Hoover Road right here, was to improve athletic access. So we happened to find a parcel that worked for the mandate of City Council, who also had a improved aquatics in Durham. And we beat the developers to acquire that property because we don't get the final say. We're competing on the free market too. And better believe it, the developers out here are hungry for land to turn this into like whatever subdivisions or whatever. Why does soccer relate to roller rink? Well, let me tell you. So we've got, if this is the Wheels property, and this is the roller rink, and these are the other buildings, we always knew when we purchased this property, this was cool. It's cool because if somebody goes and plays a game of football or whatever here, then they can come over here and eat pizza, or their kid sister, kid brother can go over and skate at Wheels. And that's always been like, oh yeah, compatible use, kind of in the family, but not ours to maintain. However, Mrs. Albrecht, who many of you know, came to us and said, hey, we're considering getting out of the business. This was shortly before the pandemic that we did not know was coming. And Mrs. Albrecht was like, Wheels is great. I got all the books. I make a lot of money in those massage chairs. Don't make a lot of money on roller rinks, but it's fun. We have this great parcel that we've been using. And I just read the TripAdvisor reviews. It was all pretty long in the tooth, so it really did need a update, as many of you've said, because she built it in the 80s and then kind of kept adding on. So we knew that Wheels was cool. We knew we had a mandate to develop a pool. So kind of in here in we got to thinking in the Parks Department is how can we have a really cool old facility that has a lot of recreational life left, and then also convince council to buy it, because nobody's really out there, nobody put on the long-term budget, find us an aging roller rink and purchase it. And also there's a distinct lack in the Tom's Good Idea funds, trust me, there's almost very little in that bucket fund. But what was funded was aquatics, right? So the pitch to council was easy. They all unanimously voted for to purchase the property, dedicate this for funding on our capital improvements project, develop a pool. And at the time, we looked at a couple different ways of what we thought might be the most important features of the site, which, the Wheels roller rink is there. But as staff, we don't want to make that decision. We did know that the aquatics facility would only take up a certain amount of acreage on the site. So there would be acreage left over with facilities that the community would value the most. But how do you do that? You have to ask the community. There's also a little thing called the pandemic. And that's where we took some side quests and got everybody their sticks and just tried to keep the ball going. But we did get the ball going, and we do have a project called Splash and Play that has everything, including staff notes, on this website, which you can Google it. It actually pops up when I Google it, and I'm terrible at Googling. So the good news is we had this site acquired before the developers could get to it. Mrs. Ulbricht was good to her word and sold it to us when she could have sold out for more money to, I don't know, condos or it's zoned industrial. She could do whatever she wants. It's private money. But now it's within the city control, and folks like you get to tell folks like us what's your highest priorities. And that's what we did through the long and torturous public meetings that many of you went to, where you said wheels, 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 wheels. That's the most important features. There's also a pretty big bid for go-karts too. That was, but this facility left over. So if you go to the website, which we use for our public meetings, you'll see in every future development scenario, this is the anchor point. So this does not go away, but the golf course, mini golf or the golf carts might go away. And there's some scenarios there. We have open surveys now. Actually, I think the 3 scenarios are brilliant. I can't really choose between them. So that's why I like having a group like you to do it. So this is all happening now. It does take time, but let's accelerate. Let's fast forward this. Because of advocacy of folks like you, folks like Mr. Chavis, the council has said, what can you do to open this sooner rather than later? Now, as we know, building a pool takes time. If anybody's worked with the planning department, it takes time for them to review, right? It takes time to look at the permits. It takes time to make everything legit, pay the contractors, hire the contractors, make sure they're equal opportunity, all of that. So that's a very delicate balance, and we're moving forward on that track. But what's really cool right now is that council has said to us, we've heard the voice of the people, and we want you, the department, actually not us, there's other people involved, like the general services department. These are mostly architects, landscape architects, they hire contractors, and we gave them the mission of how soon can you open this up? And they said, okay, cool. With our architectural studies, you're gonna have to have a couple things like safety, right? So fire safety. What happens if there's a panic at the disco and everybody rushes through the door? What happens if somebody wants to see their grandkids skate, but they can't get into the building because there's no ADA access? We want people to have access. We want people not to die in fires. We want to make sure all the fire suppressions are there. And most importantly, we don't want to, not most importantly, we don't want anybody to sue us either. So that's an issue too. Mrs. Albrecht operated in a wonderful golden era of the 1980s. The 1980s have advanced and code, and she's not had to keep up with code, although she did keep the property up very well. So right now, rush job, architects, what can you get us? If we shoved a pile of money towards you, how much would it cost? How much is the pile of money and how much would it cost to get this all into code? Council said, yes, we had not identified any funding for wheels before, but we're going to give you a cool $1 million and some change. It's on the website if you're of the accounting bit, but we want you to get it done. How fast can you get it done? And they said, parting the waters, 15 months. So 15 months to open wheels to code. Now that doesn't necessarily include all the disco lights or cool murals or the soul of the building. That's stuff that comes in later. But have we saved wheels? Yes, the public has convinced council that all of this stuff can be developed around this, but this must open first. And that's what staff is working towards right now. So clock ticking. Why you're here is to help us make sure that when we talk to the architects and the consultants who are going to do this work for us, that it meets with the alignment of what the public wants to see out of wheels. Remember, we're not a money-making business. We're here to serve the children and the adults of Durham to do this, but there are people, architects who need to do this work and do it seriously. So we need to give them clear instructions about what to do. So that's a lot. Quick questions on that, or do you want to move to the next one? Mr. Chavis?
Yeah, you know, I got.
Okay, go for it.
Cause you hit right on here.
Okay.
We've been asking, but we have not been given any answers. You said general service. We've been asking general service to come forward and bring us their information in writing about wheels, but they haven't done it. We asked the fire department to bring us their information about wheels. And the reason why we asked is for, you just stated, the building was being used, but it wasn't used for wheels, it was used for something else. And it showed, and you also gave us how many people went through that building. Okay?
Oh, are you talking about for the pandemic, for the emergency? Now, important thing, let me hold on, because I've got some stuff that's gonna help move us along here, because, you know, we do have an hour. So pandemic's pandemic, that's an emergency. We did, what the Duke Regional Hospital did is they did stuff that you guys would not like, which is to put big ramps down to make the ADA access. And then, you know, it's emergency situations with all of that for a special use. So we received permission to do that for this situation. What Mr. Chavis is referring to is this right here, the information from the architects about what's broke and what we need to fix. There's some stuff that's, you know, tinkering along. Do we want to have something that tinkers along and then have to shut wheels down after, like, the HVAC systems? No, we want to fix it all at once. Especially, we don't want to keep going back to council for drip and drip and drip of money. So we're going to try to do as much as we can to get the building solid, to open it up for as long as possible. Mary, take it away.
Well, I was just kind of flipping through because you were kind of right on cue with these slides. So General Services Department presented this information at the October 6th or 7th work session, and then just the other day at the October 17th council meeting.
Yeah, okay.
To identify.
My question has been asking on the act. Where is the paperwork that we have been asked with? No, you just putting this stuff up now. See, this is the point. This is why I want y'all to understand. They're doing stuff that we have already asked, but they're still not giving you directly what they are doing. We need to know exactly what they are doing. If the AGA access of that building, who's responsible for that? If you're talking about the roofing, who's in charge of that? See, these maintenance, you're talking about maintenance.
Architectural company we hired.
Wait, hold it, listen, let me finish so somebody else can come in. The kitchen, we need to be able to talk to these people too. Because if you all don't talk to them, they're gonna do you just like they doing Flash, the food. They're gonna come up, give you this board, and give you the stickers here, here, and here. But you ain't gonna get a chance to say, okay, like I did with what's called Susan. Ask specific questions. They're not gonna allow you, they don't want you to do that. Because the specific question is, what about the parking lot? Okay? What about the roof? You said that was a rooftop. Where's the information that you had a consultant come out? Where's the information on the consultant? You see what I'm saying?
You have it on the website.
Yes,
we
we
have it.
It's all on the website.
We have
Yeah.
the inspection done, and they have all of the full, like, 100+ page inspection on the website.
Yes, they just put it up, but see, this is what I'm trying to say. They sticking stuff up, but they're not got no
Well,
dates on.
Oh,
Yeah.
dates on it.
Yeah,
We have
they-
not hired somebody yet, and it does take some time to hire consultants because we want to go through all the due diligence it takes to hire, you know, HVAC contractors, you know, asphalt folks. And when we hire them, yes, we do manage them. And one of the things we manage is to keep the job site, you know, safe, clean, and we don't allow a lot of public access to the contractors. Just like, because the contractors are not going to have that as part of your job. They do not want your opinion at that point. this is where we set the goals for the contractors. And then we work with staff works with the contractors to make sure we squeeze every single cent out of them to get you the best product and open it up as soon as possible. So all the information, once again, Splash and Play website. It's a huge dump, more information than we've ever put out. You asked for it, you got it. 100 pages, thank you for reading.
Yeah, I look at that, well, this is what I'm saying to you all. This just came up, okay? And it's a quick thing for you, just like you said, it's 100 pages. And you took time to read that 100 pages?
Yeah, a couple weeks ago.
Good for you all that can. But some of us ain't got time to speak, reading 100 pages.
Yeah, and that's why
I
we
want
condense
us to
them.
be kept abreast of what's going on as it's going, so that it won't come to you all at one time. So you can get your approval.
This is the exact presentation we gave city council. Presumably your elected officials also read the 100 pages too, but this is condensed for them. And that's what you're seeing now. And council has already voted on us and told us to go do. We're coming to you to like talk about the how to and what's the essence and give you as much information as you need or want.
So the deficiencies that they looked at and identified had to do, like what Tom said, with ADA accessibility, code, and safety, maintenance, and operations. I won't go through, all these details. Like we were saying, this is available on our website. And it's great feedback, Mr. Tavis, to find ways to make it more digestible, because I look at the technical documents and it's over my head. This I respond much easier to this presentation here, which just became available to us as well, when it was presented. So this really, brings out the high level points of what we're looking at now as far as the deficiencies go. And I'll kind of speed through to get to the important part, which is the cost. Which I think is, okay, so also we have the total duration that we just talked about at 15 months, and that's an accelerated schedule to my understanding, kind of pulling out all the stops. And they're looking at 1.7 million. That includes 20% design fees. So that's kind of an all-inclusive, and that is just to get it, like Tom said, up to ADA accessible for this type of facility. It's a little bit different, right? For like we were operating it, as the vaccination site, and the standards for the code. I mean, I'm not an expert, but from what I understand, it's different for that type of facility. It's operating under an emergency, situation. So they can make things like temporary ramps to get people into the building. It's a lot different for a permanent, recreation site on public property. So
not to mention the nurses and greeters and people that brought
Yes.
people into the facility,
Yeah.
which is not, a workforce much larger than
Right.
support. Yeah.
So that's why, you see that, sure, it was operating for one purpose, but the codes are different, and the price changes and the needs change for those upgrades by opening it up as a recreation center. Yeah.
On the ADA,
Mhm.
when you're going into that, please take in consideration that you put us to the front door rather than making the rails to the back of the building.
Right.
And you got to walk all the way around the building to get to the front door.
Yes, that's federal
Great.
law.
Yes, yes.
That's,
No, it's
yeah.
not, no, the federal law don't say specifically it has to be at the front door. And that's how come a lot of these ADA accessibility to these government buildings are hard to get to, because they put the ADA accessibility in the back of the building, and you got to walk all the way around to get to the front door. I know. Okay?
Okay, it'll happen.
Good
Yeah,
feedback.
that is absolutely part of the plan, and should just be part of every project. But I know it's not like that everywhere. It's true. The older buildings.
Of course I want it up to code and everything. Feels like a long time, obviously. We were skating wheels with a hole in the roof, and there was a cone and a bucket. We were operating on,
Making it work.
yeah, we were making it work. So I don't know. I just wonder if there's a way to kind of like bridge that gap a smidge.
Yeah.
Is it considered a change of use? Because Or because it's now government owned as opposed to a private business, does that
It-
kick in those upgrade?
To some extent, it's more, there is a bit of change of use there. There's also like some grandfathering of the existing user. If you kept on it, they don't want it to. And then there's a new owner and it so there is a change and we would be, doing some kind of change. And also the, Ms. Elbrick, you couldn't sue her for much, but the city could, you could absolutely sue.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of both, good practice.
Yeah, because they could make you sign like a waiver that's like, you can't sue us, but the city can't really do that. So,
Yeah, but especially when it comes to ADA too, we just don't, nobody in the city wants to defend against federal law. So, or fire code. I mean, can you imagine saying like, well, we skipped the corners on fire code and then this accident happened, so sorry, but you're just not what we're doing.
So when I read the assessments, a lot of the stuff is conditionally worded, like if the water heaters don't work, we'll have to replace them. If the lamps haven't been replaced, they should be replaced. Do you have an idea of like where this cost model, is it assuming everything that's like conditionally phrased has to be done? Or is it the top end of it or is it the middle end? Like, do you have any idea on that part?
good question.
Yeah, that's something I'm gonna have to get back to you on. I don't know if, to that specificity.
Okay.
But the folks doing that assessment are a combination of, so the lights, power in this building, the HVAC, it's done by the General Services Department. They do interior. Before we purchased the property, we had them give a shake test of the property itself. And they were like, it's okay, there's some systems that are questionable. And once again, we want to make, since city council's dedicated the money to do it right, we want to do it right. Like, we want to do it right. So I don't think there'll be a lot of nickeling and diming of well, it's almost there, but.
I guess, well, one of the reasons I asked too is because you said a little over 1 million. We have a number here that's closer to 2. So I don't know if
Okay, it's a lot over 1 million.
Okay.
Math bad, sorry. Yeah,
Same.
picture's good, yeah. Yeah, but council and then our budget office have all approved that and dedicated the money. So that's not something you need to advocate for. It's happening and money starts the clock. Once their check clears, we can start to hire. It does take time to hire the contractors. And because we have a process if you've in the city. And then it does take time to go through the permitting process. So that's a lot of what you see on the timeline is hiring, permitting. Sometimes we need to go to council for larger, so there's all of those permitting clocks are baked in, all of the having to go back to council has been baked in. We do a lot of.
As part of that 15-month process that you're saying, including all that, it's in there.
Including all that. Our Office of Equity and Inclusion, shakes the tree, make sure that we're trying to hire local vendors, that we, minority vendors, women-owned vendors, all of that is baked in. So we run things pretty ethically. Ethically also means slow. This is fast for us. So, yeah.
Are there any opportunities for people in the community to come and like volunteer their time and efforts to do this, to like get like the demo work out of the way first?
I love that. I do love that. No way possible, but if you want volunteer opportunities and you want to wear a hard hat, we do have projects all over Durham with volunteer opportunities. But I like that spirit. And it sounds like you've got some construction background, so you bid on the job. You bid on the job, we'll have to leave this room. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I'll pick up a paper.
I know, me too, yeah.
Okay, my question, I see you have maintenance, but the main problem they kept saying about the problem being the roof. I don't see anything that deals with the roof. Why aren't the roof been done first?
It's actually.
Why hasn't it been the paper as, because if you're talking about doing the roof first, you gotta put a cover over it to stop the rain from going in there, messing up some of the other stuff. I understand about ADA because I'm a person that needs it. But right now, the building is not open. So I'm looking at what first needs to be done to take care of what's already in there first, and then move out. Because ADA come on the outside after you got everything else in place.
If this is interesting to y'all, you're the public, we can absolutely get someone from General Services to describe the construction sequencing and their roof evaluations.
We need that.
with that, we're totally happy to bring somebody in here, for that. Mary, do you want to read the rest of the agenda? What we'd
Yeah,
like to try to, I
Yeah,
mean, information is always free. I mean, it's.
yeah, for sure. And there's a lot of like nuance and detail to the, construction and like code compliance aspect of this, but we, don't want to just be talking at you guys the whole time about like what the status is of the building and the facility itself. We really want to hear from you about what, we're happy to do that too, but we also want to hear from you about what you guys need out of this service. And we're looking at, next steps, like once the facility is able to operate again, which is the plan, how is it operating? And so the traditional way would be to have a third-party operator come in and run their business. But because we're a Parks and Recreation department, we want to make sure of things like affordability and that it's, accessible to the public, easily accessible, accessible for, just like our rec centers are. And so we want to hear from you guys about what you feel about those options and those types of models. And one thing that we've talked about internally as staff is, and also externally kind of floated this idea a little bit too, is having sort of a job readiness model where we would operate, we DPR would operate the facility like we would a recreation center. We would staff it, we would have a manager there, and we would hire teams to help manage it, run it, like a business and prepare them for future careers and jobs. And so we are really excited about that idea. And so we also think it offers more to the community and feels more in line with what people have been asking for. And so we would just like your feedback on kind of the qualities of the operation that you would like to see.
I think that everything you said is great, and my major concern was about the management, because when I spoke to Councilman Middleton, he said that he was talking to United States about management, which I've been to roller rinks across the country and talked to a lot of skaters, and United States is not the best option. I mean, we have a really unique opportunity here. So I hope that that's off the table.
Okay.
Also, one more thing, when they do take over a rink, they change the size of the rink dramatically.
Thank you.
Which would make it having figure skating there and artistic skating, which we really don't want to, that option.
Yeah, and we're figuring this out. We have 15 months to do it, right? So 15 months, we gotta give somebody a key. The one model that and this is the tough model. So we could go with a request for proposals process like we do for any kind of project. Request for proposals, usually with DPR, we set a set of criteria of, relating to the project. And this criteria can be kind of almost anything relating to project, relating to values, relating to what they must do, and then people bid on it. If the RFP model goes forward, different groups will bid on it, and typically we have to take the lower bid that meets the criteria. So, and that's the RFP model. And then the other model is keep it within the DPR portfolio. We have the Recreation Advisory Commission, who's Karthik is on the call. We're always looking for more members, and we could also form a body around that. That model would be staffed by DPR, and then, folks from the community. And that's a model we're exploring now too. Cost benefit, that's something we're figuring out. We don't know if it's more expensive to hire a full-time, manager for the facility than it is to do the RFP model and, hire a group like United States America. Or what's
Jessica has
Sorry, I'm out here, so I don't know how to jump in. But there are a lot of really interesting. I'm also a community organizer, so this is sort of my thing. But there are a lot of really interesting models that you could look at around roller rinks and skate exercise and community centers. There's one in Philadelphia and there's one in Des Moines that we could really use as as a model here in Durham that like, you know, you can do all of these different, you know, like skate, exercise things. There's roller derby, there's, you know, all of there's speed skating, there's all of these different things that people do on wheels that are really exciting and people want to come and have this. But then there's also like this big community center because there's this big space, you know, that we could utilize. Like during the day there's, you know, this area that could be for story times in Durham. For there, you know, there could be, they had a Zumba there earlier, you know, at Wheels. There's, you know, there's so many different things that you could use this space for. And that is such a better model than letting, again, I agree with whomever said the United Skates is not a great model. They are a profit model. And I mean, I myself cannot take my 2 children to skate there because I can afford that. I'm a single mother. It's too expensive to go and skate there. And so most average people are priced out of going skating because it's too expensive to skate at that place. And so like a community center model would be amazing for Durham. And so if we wanted to talk about that, that would be great.
Thank you for saying that. And that's actually something that for a community center model, we had always said, okay, if we get a private group in there, one of our biggest mandates, especially for Durham teens, is free entry. For-profit models don't necessarily do that. So we would subsidize that. And we put that into our pitch of like, you guys got to make a living. We're going to subsidize that. That's not necessarily the best model. The model that you're referring to as a community center is a model that we have about 8 community centers throughout town. We have, what we do is we do, you know, low to no cost DPR programs. We rent spaces for leagues, and then we have open play. So we try to do a 3-point model of both DPR programming, we're coming in, league programming, and then open free time, free skate. So that's the model at like Walltown, Recreation WD Hill. And you know, it varies. And then the Recreation Advisory Commission with Karthik Sundam, Karthik, they evaluate that. And also when somebody comes and says, I got something that's going to benefit the public, staff says waive the fees on this. And they make sure that they kind of confirm our recommendation, or they say, no, this is a for-profit model, or they say, no, we should lower the fees, staff only recommend. So we kind of have a built-in system on that, and then and kind of open floor on who can participate with that system too. So there's a lot of ways to do that.
I would just add one more thing, that most of those places really protect like their basketball courts and things like that, the DPR community centers, and they have not historically let us roller skate on them. So, because we've asked repeatedly.
Yeah. We get fussed at by the basketball players too, just keep in mind. And we are cost conscious in terms of what's going to preserve the life of the facility. And because we know maintenance funding for things too. So maintenance is key.
Yeah, I was gonna say, before you get to the management piece of it, would we have any input as to the design features with the architect? Because unless you're a skater, they're not going to know.
Amen.
Yeah. So consider it like this. The 15-month turnaround is to get what's there now up to code and get it on the floor. But there might be, so that's just like, get us in the door as fast as possible. But there's a lot of room for architectural, you know, change as we go along. If you're right now with the rest of the facility, we're going down because the other rest of the, you know, other 6 acres you guys are ignoring has a lot of cool new architecture, and you can look at it on the website. And that's when we start to dial into like, you know, the comments on the buildings and
Actually, I'm okay if it opens as is. I would go in there now if you let me. It doesn't.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
So as I understand the job readiness model, like the main tenet of it is that we're hiring local youths and like training them to run a business. Can we just include that in the RFP? Can we just make that a requirement?
We
for the
could.
RFP?
We absolutely could. And that's, it's easy to do that. There's some, we would basically hire, with the RFP, we could put these different, like, you know, hire local youth, And that's something that's absolutely a possibility. Whether they take it or not is kind of up to them. So the more we load onto a private group, they may or may not be set up for that. So United States of America, they might do that. They might, they might not. So, but I like the idea. I mean, it's possible. We'll have to examine that.
So is that probably what's going to happen? It'll be United States, or is it
No,
really just?
I'm just using that as the fill-in for skate management company. I have no idea, like, who's out there in terms of management companies. But that's why you guys are here, because like, if you ask me about plants, I can tell you about plants. I can't tell you about skating. Companies.
Well, in that feedback about, I'm so sorry, the feedback about, like, you heard this thing and that's not what you want is great feedback to have, because like Tom said, some of us know plants more. And so just knowing, like, it might sound like a great idea to some, and then to others, we're like, well, here's how it limits use of that space, or why it might not be a great idea. So those are like the precise things that we definitely want to care about.
I guess that's interesting, and I think, I know that 15 months is a long time, but I think the important part that could be unique about this experience is actual, if you're gonna build an aquatic center, and people are looking at it from that angle, you're gonna get an area where you have diving expertise to teach to people that skating has the same opportunity, and to have a place where the skating rink can be open from, say, 7 o'clock to whenever, 10 o'clock. It's important for it to have a rounded opinion of what skating is, because there is roller derby, there's figure skating, there is roller dancing, there are adult parties. And I think that we're missing the part of it. It can be extremely lucrative. If everything is being run by the city and everybody's paycheck is being covered by the city of Durham, then all the money that comes in off all these programs is just profit. So I think that physically speaking, it can be extremely profitable to have this place running properly if you have it at a multi-pronged aspect of what skating means, as well as I'm totally into the community aspect of, if you're gonna have Pilates, yoga, you could do anything in that space that doesn't damage the floor, and have people go in there all day long. And have a full management staff that understands that, okay, it's not just for me to have private parties for these people at night and for to be just about this idea of what roller skating it is. It's such a huge, vast ocean of possibility, and to have it run by the city and to have it not be an issue where we need to do this because we need to make money. We are open anyway, and we have the staff on hand. What can we do to maximize it? And it'll build a lot of money.
And you guys can like advise us on the management portfolio. Remember, we operate at a loss intentionally, and city council, fills that in. We, and then sometimes with our, like, just as an example, with any like athletic field, like football field, part of it is, part of that chunk, is people are paying big money to use that field. So we might get $50,000 dollars a year out of this, this field. We also open it up to play, and then open it up to DPR programs. So we can have that balance. And getting the right mix in there is what you all are advising us on. Which can go to anything of like, do you serve beer? Do you have popcorn? What are what activities do you allow on the floor? What do you not allow on the floor? All of that we're totally open to, because this is not a rec center, but it could operate, similar. And I really like the skate intensive communication around it. So yeah, that's a cool comment.
Yeah. So it's 10 after right now. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. You guys have given some really great ideas. I hope we were able to sort of answer some of your questions too that were lingering about the facility itself and its status. But wanted to talk about some next steps for this group. Your input is really valuable in this whole process. And so we would love to, set up another meeting to talk through more of these like elements of the different, model options we have in front of us for how it operates and how it serves the community. If you guys are open to that, this is a residents committee, so we want it to be up to the residents. And so we're open to helping facilitate another discussion to get more in the, weeds of and get some more, feedback from you guys, but it's kind of up to you.
My question was yes,
Okay.
but my question is, first person is general service. because I'm looking at the top coming down. And I'm talking about the roof, because if we start covering from the top down, all this other stuff we get, it can help linger in there and cut it short. Like she said, I don't want us to have to take 15 plus months to get it so. Because if we get them to start, as I'm saying, the roof is leaking. If we get that roof to stop, it won't mess up that floor. Then we have to get the roof and get the floor redone. What condition is that floor in? If we get that roof done, is it feasible but not have to do the floor, or is it not feasible? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, construction sequence.
All right, so we need to do that in order to move this as we I'm coming from up, from the top to the bottom. Some of y'all can start from the inside to the outside, just like she said. If you open the door today, she's ready to go. But we also know that the restroom is not feasible. We also know that the kitchen is not feasible. What else do we know that's not feasible in that building that we need to draw our attention to so that we make sure that I'm gonna say the $2 million bracket, we're making sure it be covered and not coming back the last minute and say, oh, we skipped this, we gotta go back and get this.
Definitely, yeah, because we don't want to have to open it and close it again. And
Right.
I don't want no roof leaks on this thing we've worked so hard on. Did anybody have any other comments on this? Just like, I think a meeting's gonna happen. I think we kind of know next steps. Can I make a quick pitch? Okay, we've talked a lot about 8-wheel skating, but we talked about 4-wheel skating. There's a group of skateboarders who've recently worked with us on the Durham Central Park Skate Park and the additions to that. They're kind of forming a group, and I've just been, if they buy me a cup of coffee, I'll advise them on, and they want to make it bigger and more open, essentially. So there is interest in 4-wheel skating not in wheels itself, but on the larger property. So if there's anybody interested in that, skateboarding, skating, it's a really interesting group of folks, and I think we'll be having some public meetings, not just for this property, but for other properties. Pitch over. You've seen Heinz Glaze. Yeah.
Tracy.
Mike. Yeah,
Mike.
Mike and Hector. Yeah.
They're cool.
They're
Like
lovely.
I say, don't let them in.
No, we're not letting them inside. Yeah, no, but there, I can tell you now, there's like, we like to put like with like. And there is a really cool proposal that the designers came up with. It's like, we know from your Parks Master Plan that you need a skate park somewhere, and we're looking for other recreational activities. Why not next to wheels? So instead of parking, so just take a look at that.
Wasn't there a little baby skate park in behind it?
There was one. And also a lot of
There's
roller
still ramps on
skaters
the
like the
property.
skating
Yeah.
holes. So
Right.
skaters would go out there too.
Yeah, and when they know, a lot of people learn to do skateboarding at wheels itself, but the facility there is just like, yeah.
Right.
You can salvage it for art, but you can't salvage it.
So I will follow up over email with some ideas for more times to do this same thing. And we'll reconvene. If anybody needs my contact information for anything, I've got cards up here, but I think you all probably got an email from me already about this. So feel free to reach out, check out our website. There's a lot of good background information there too. Thought I had another housekeeping thing, but I guess not, just to say thanks.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah, I really appreciate your guys' time on a beautiful evening, coming out and spending time with us to talk about this. So it's super helpful, very much appreciated, and we definitely want to keep this dialogue going, so.
And thanks for our
Yeah.
folks at home. Eddie, great to see you in person.
Glad to see you, family, and
yeah,
look forward to the next meeting. This has been helpful for me. I'm glad they're able to listen. We'll have a little bit more to say, I'm sure, on next meeting. I'm just be writing, and the ideas that I'm gonna write down, I hope y'all like it. So definitely can't wait till the next meeting. See what can be developed out of this. I'm very interested. It's very interested to see how the community works together to build something. So I'm definitely interested in being part of this. I greatly appreciate you be able to share this moment.
You're in.
Thank
And
you.
I actually have to run to a meeting across the street, but you know, you have my email, Adrian, so. Bye, y'all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Maybe you get.
See you next time.